Hey, real quick before we dive in, if you're a woman in midlife who's tired of the cliches and ready to live out loud, we're glad you're here.
Because you are definitely in the right place. We're not here to age gracefully, we're here to age boldly. So if you love real talk, big laughs, and the occasional spicy truth bomb, make sure to follow us. Hey, all you spicy midlife women out there, Jules and Michelle here from Seattle, Washington, the Emerald City, on the new year, 2026. And we are bringing you all kinds of real life stories and no BS conversations about life and love and relationships.
That's right. Thanks so much for explaining that, Julie. Here to help all midlife women redefine their relationships, reclaim their power, and ditch those toxic cycles. We're going to do it one episode at a time. So let's get into it.
Yes, ma'am. Let's get into it. It is 2026 and we're at the very beginning of the year. And you know what? It's time to just kind of re-cleanse and rethink about things a little bit differently. Just gives us an opportunity to do that.
You know, I came up with this little saying, no tricks in 2026.
Apparently, Michelle's not turning any tricks this year.
Yeah, no
Even though we might
tricks.
run short on rent and she might have to go up to Aurora. Those of you that don't live here, it's kind of a joke we have because it's literally Prostitute Row, not far away.
Yeah.
And if you earn some extra cash, they like blondes. Anyway, how do I know that? I don't know. I just watch what's happening. But anyway, so what are we talking about today?
You know, it's all about, which is a great New Year topic, identity.
Yeah.
And kind of that doing a midlife identity audit, I guess, kind of what is still fitting and what doesn't. We do that with our closets, right?
Yeah. Okay. So you all know who Marie Kondo is, right? Do you know? Well, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
But she is the woman who helps you organize your closet, which really is a lot more about organizing your life. She organize your house, your closet, whatever. And it's more about determining what serves you still, what doesn't serve you still, what you need to let go of, whether it's a toxic trait, whether it's something that you feel like you has not brought you joy. And that's kind of the Marie Kondo thing. Did it bring you joy? If it didn't, it doesn't bring you joy anymore, then thank it for being there and then remove it from your life. Well, it's kind of the same thing, but we're talking about our lives, not clothes. Lord knows I need to do with my closet too, but whatever.
Well, I think it's interesting because it seems like when the new year comes, people are doing this in so many facets of life, right? And particularly, I think in midlife, this is a great time to do some of that reevaluating and see what is fitting and what's not fitting.
And this isn't really about New Year's resolutions.
No, it's not.
On a side note, how do you feel about New Year's resolutions?
You know, I think it's something that people do because we've always done it and it's the New Year thing and all of that. As I've gotten older, it's kind of somewhat been an evolution on how I look at what is coming in the new year. I don't necessarily set resolutions. I really do more reflection and redirection for the, you know, going forth and how I'm going to do things differently.
Yeah.
Or enhance maybe what I'm already doing, you know? Resolutions, goal setting, there's a million different ways of looking at it. But for me, yeah, I just, it's more reflection, redirection, and to go after what I want personally to happen in my life.
Right.
And the things that I need to do to make that happen. So
I think that makes complete sense. I know we've talked before about instead of like resolutions, having a word or something that we can kind of use as our go-to when we're feeling like we're getting off track or not, you know, really focusing the way we had originally intended to. Did you choose one yet this year?
I did, and it's based on, again, that reflection and redirection that I'm wanting to do, and it's going to be consistency for me.
I like that.
Consistency is going to be my word. My life can stand a lot of that in so many different areas, and I'm pretty excited actually about putting some of that into play.
I like that. I like that. So I chose one, and there's so many that I could choose, and it's like I could even choose a phrase, right? But I think my one I had last year was listen. I need to be more focused and listen instead of talking. So I think I've done a better job of that. Always something you can work on, of course. But this year, it's really focusing on intention around the things that I want to have in my life, the things that I don't, and really kind of leaning into that when it comes to anything that's important, frankly, or,
Mhm.
things that I want to do. So, we'll see how that one goes for
Yeah,
me. I feel like it's important for me right at the moment, so, hey,
I
we'll see
love it. See,
what
and
comes of
that's the
it.
thing, it's like whatever you do, however it is you do it, that is what's right for you, not necessarily what the whole world and everybody else is doing.
Right.
So, hence, it kinda goes with what we're talking about today with, what an identity audit actually is.
Well, okay, so when we talked a little bit about Marie Kondo earlier and
Yeah,
closets, right? And you have to be in the right frame of mind, at least I do, to do the cleaning in my closet to get things out because otherwise I won't wanna throw anything away. But
100%.
I'm in the right frame of mind where I'm looking at it going, "What the hell? Did I actually wear that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not wearing that again."
Uh-huh.
So it's something that served me,
At one
metaphorically, we're
point.
talking about at one point,
Mhm.
yeah, but it's not really serving me anymore. And maybe there's some great memories that you have because clothes will attach to memories just like music, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And that's okay. And you just kind of are okay to move on, leave that, send it to somebody else, give
Yeah,
it to Goodwill, whatever you want to do because some things just don't fit anymore. And if you're
yeah,
looking at life metaphorically, I mean, if we're looking at this example metaphorically, it's like
sure.
some things don't fit in our life,
Right.
the same way they did before. And that's okay, right?
Mhm,
That's okay.
mhm.
It's like things you thought did or you're trying to hold on to or struggling with. It's like it's just okay.
Well, it's the roles, the labels,
Yeah.
talking we're not talking about the clothes right now. I'm referring to our life, but looking at the roles that we've had throughout,
Hmm.
the labels that are identified with the roles, the stories that have come from all the experiences that we've had through all of that, and the
Right.
things that you've been living by, right? So looking back at some of those things and one, are we still doing them? Reflecting on that, why are we still doing them as far as activity based around that, right? And that's the part of really going in and having that awareness
Hmm.
before taking action, I
Hmm.
guess, on whatever that is looking like for you. Can you think of any examples for you, Julie, where you had to do that? Kind of look at some of what the roles you had and the identity
Right.
that was going along with that, and if it was still serving you, and kind of what you did to move through that and shift and
Yeah.
maybe change?
Well, I think so I've looked at it like let's say I've always put myself in that role of being the strong one. I've got to be the strong one. I've got to be the one that's figuring things out. That's my role as a mom, that's my role as a wife, whatever it was. And I came to realize that I don't have to always be the strong one. I think I'm so it actually has someone had kind of likened that to a control thing and I wonder if one of them goes hand in hand with the other
Mhm.
about wanting things to be okay for other people, wanting things to be okay for myself, my family, and so I am the strong one that's gonna figure it all out. Well, I've come to realize it's like part of being strong is knowing when you're not and being okay with that, and allowing yourself to be I wanna say vulnerable, that's not really the word I'm looking for, but allowing yourself to be that person that doesn't feel like they have to have all the answers or provide answers. So that's kind of an evolving one I think that has happened for me over time. Uh, a lot of it maybe had to do with the role that I held with work before and those sorts of things, but yeah, I feel like I don't have to do that all the time anymore. And I also know you call me on my shit when I think I do, and so that's a good reminder too.
I love what you said. Part of being strong is knowing that you're not.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that just stuck out at me just now when you said that. I've never really thought about that before in that way. I don't know, that's so simple, but really,
It's such a girl thing too, right? It's like
yeah.
women, we all feel like we gotta be strong. We gotta be the ones that are the caretakers, and as we're talking to all of these ladies out there, they're going through different stages of this. I think
Mhm,
we have the benefit of having made some of those mistakes early on, and they're not mistakes with ill intention. They're mistakes that we've made because we didn't really know what direction maybe we were going or we were in an environment where we had to be the person who figured
mhm.
everything out. And
Yeah,
letting go of that, whether it be in, romantic relationships or personal friendships or whatever, it's okay. It's not like you have to be the person who's always strong. And I think men kind of get a bad rap because they are the ones that everybody just expects to be strong. And on the flip side of that, it's like everybody expects them to have the answers and be so stoic and strong. And it's really sucks,
Mhm.
you know? We don't
Yeah.
really have to, but in our day and age now, we are becoming more and more that way because we
Yeah.
are living more independently. We have opinions. We want to do things a certain way because it serves us better.
I guess with that, that makes me think in my own life, for an example, it's pretty much the same. And I think it's going to be based on your experiences, the different things that there are that maybe change as you move through your experiences or your story or your journey, however you want to look at it. And being strong, to Julie's point, that's kind of the same for me because we're used to being responsible and peacemakers and caretakers and all of those things.
Mhm.
And then for me, same as Julie, divorce, all that, then you become this, you have to be strong. But at the end of it, and as you keep on keeping on, there's the whole going into midlife, which is where we're at now. And you start having time to reflect on some of these things.
Mhm.
And what is that identity? We've talked a bit about that in a few of the episodes recently too, and where we're at and what that identity looks like here in midlife. And um, I guess I say that with the realization that all of those things, responsible, peacemaker, caretaker, all of that being strong, it's not a lifetime contract. Like we don't have to
Right.
always be those things. And so the identity shift and the reason of doing that audit, I think is really important. I've never really thought about that before in an intentional way.
There's my word.
Yeah, like as an actual audit
Yeah.
of those things.
So what are some
Anyway,
things that can give you an indication that you are needing to change something or something is not serving you better? How would you maybe identify that in you?
there's probably when in certain situations that you're holding resentment, I guess that would be a sign,
Mhm.
if you're doing and pleasing and doing, but you're holding resentment, that would be a sign, right?
And we've talked a little bit about that before, how we want to make
Yes.
others happy, and so we get into things that we're not necessarily excited about, and we
Yeah.
start to feel resentment maybe because people start expecting it, or because you're in a position where you feel like you can't stop and because you'll disappoint people. I mean, it really depends on how, you look at it, I suppose. But I think resentment's huge. And I think in romantic relationships, you have to be really careful of that too, because resentment builds walls that are very difficult to pull down. It's important to have conversations about that, and know when you're feeling that way that you can express that with
Mhm.
someone who you're in a relationship with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another one is when you know that you are feeling unheard, like you're invisible, you're knowing that you need to change that. It's never served you. Maybe it served you if you were in a relationship, family, whatever, that didn't let you have a voice. You just kept
Mhm.
your mouth shut. I mean, I can say that's happened with me before where I'm just like, it's not worth arguing about. It's not
Yeah.
worth having a conversation about. You just kind of let it go. Well, you can't do that with everything. So there comes a time when you feel like maybe that's something that doesn't serve me in the same way. Maybe it didn't serve me in a really healthy way before.
Yeah.
It got me through the things I needed to get through, but it doesn't necessarily align with the way I'm moving into the
Yeah.
next phase of my life.
Awareness is
Awareness of it,
making
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think too, if there's times where I've noticed with myself where I'm doing things automatically,
right.
right?
Yeah,
It's more habitually. You're habitually doing things and not intentionally doing
yeah,
things, right? So knowing the difference between those two things, what is, when you're doing something habitually because it's habit and it's what you've always done, or try doing it with intention behind it.
mhm,
And if it doesn't feel the same, that would be an indicator, you
yes,
know? I would
and
I would think.
that without the word keeps coming up,
Yes, it
intention, because
does.
it does change the way you look at things. You
Yeah.
have to stop, like Michelle is saying, you can't be on autopilot and think about things being intentional because you're on autopilot. But if
Yeah.
you stop for 2 seconds and go, "Really, what is the outcome that I'm looking for here?" Or what is it that I'm after? Whatever it is. It's like you may do it differently. You
Mhm.
may think differently. You may pause. Pregnant pause. You may
Yeah.
pause, you know?
Yeah.
I think too, we talked about this a second ago, but saying yes when you really want to say no. And this was in an episode that we did
Mm.
a few episodes ago. It's like, what the hell, people? It's like we are in a position where it's okay for us to say how we're feeling, yet we don't feel like we can a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So saying yes instead of saying no is maybe something that doesn't serve you anymore, which means you got to get your balls like wrapped up in there. Okay, maybe not balls wrapped up. You got to get your big girl panties on and
Mhm.
speak your mind about what it is that you are not feeling good about or what it is that you want to change. And it doesn't even have
Yeah.
to be something like you profess to the world. It's just more like a conscious shift in your thought process and how you approach things.
Yeah,
It's
just silently prepare
yeah,
yourself for
yeah,
these things. I like it that you say that. It doesn't have to be this big, announcement to the world
right.
that, I'm gonna stop doing this because this,
Mhm.
that, or the other. You can very internally do these things and just make a subtle change,
Yeah.
right?
The
It
people
doesn't have to be
around you
this.
are gonna notice that are around you more often. They're gonna notice a subtle shift, and they may not say anything, or they may say something because your subtle shift impacts them and how they do things.
Another sign, like we're talking about some of these things, if you're always like thinking about how you want to just like go back and start over, to like disappear and start things over, that's an indicator too that
Mhm.
change, shift needs to
Yes.
happen. Take a look at some of those identity things in your life. I just love the phrase identity audit. I think
Mhm.
it's just I don't know. I just have never thought about it that way before, but I think it can be have a very good outcome. Very
I
good
think it's
outcome.
it's so important for us to really state, though, that just because this has been the way you've operated a part of your identity doesn't mean it was bad. It means that it was something
Right.
maybe that was necessary
Necessary. Absolutely.
in that point in time in your life.
As is everything in life,
Right.
right? And we need to recognize that and be okay with it. It's normal. It's not like it's not normal.
I really don't
Everybody
think we give ourselves enough grace a lot of the time. We are
uh,
pretty hard on
I
ourselves,
agree. I
you know?
agree. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that
100%.
comes from having, I would say expectations, but it comes from wanting to do better. It's
Mhm.
like you want to do better, so you put these expectations on yourself that aren't necessarily realistic. And some of this is like step by step stuff. It's like we're
Yeah.
not saying, "Oh, it's January. Now you've got to have dry January and you've got to lose 10 pounds and you got to quit
Mhm.
smoking and you've got to blah blah blah." It's like
Yeah.
the standard things that you hear
Yeah.
people talking about. It's really more about giving yourself the grace to know what worked for you, what doesn't work for you, and not apologizing about what doesn't
Yeah.
work for you, but letting the things go that no longer have value to you in your
Mhm.
life. So,
And the subtle changes I think is huge. It doesn't have to be this huge purge where,
right.
you're gonna do all of these things. That's where back to what you were talking about resolutions. I think that's where
Mhm.
sometimes, we trip and we
Right.
fall and then we feel like we're failing. It doesn't have to be this huge purge of identity things that we're
Mhm.
doing, but just refine some of those things, some of those identities in the areas of our life that need to be refined,
Right.
if that's what you're feeling is necessary, right?
So, like, for example, let's talk about there's strengths that you know you have that you wanna keep. Lean into that. Lean into whatever it is that's giving you that feeling of
Lean back.
lean
Lean
back.
back.
We'll
Do
go
it.
rip into that
Yeah.
song. Yeah, but you just lean into it. You've got strength. All of us have strengths and we minimize them sometimes. Sometimes we make ourselves smaller or have made ourselves smaller because of the people that we're around. It's like give yourself permission to lean into the things that bring you joy, that are the strengths that you have that help other people, whatever those
Mhm.
strengths are. The values that we still feel true to. It's like don't deviate from those things because those things are part of who you are. It's not like you have to shift and change your values because you're
Right.
shifting and changing, things that you're choosing to remove from your world. And then also there's parts of you that feel alive is the best way for me to put it. It's like when you feel really alive, when you feel really grateful and happy and content, where are you? What are you doing? Who are you around? Who are you not around? Is like, is there some sort of ritual or practice that helps you get there
Yeah.
or that you can start? I was talking with a friend yesterday and we were talking about, New Year's resolutions, but not really New Year's resolutions, but just more things that he wanted to do differently in the new year, and he was telling me about he goes, "I decided I'm gonna journal once a week."
Oh,
And I was like, "Okay. So tell me about this journaling. Is this, like, something" of course, I asking all these questions because I'm very curious because
yeah.
I'm very much a journaler. And, I was asking him about it, and he goes, "Yeah, just putting down my thoughts, putting down my feelings, putting down just expressing what I truly am feeling inside. This is all just for me, it's not for anybody else." And I was telling him how I've always journaled,
Mhm.
and I don't put down all of my thoughts and feelings and true things that are going on in my side, and he was like, "Why is that?" And I told him, "Because I'm always worried someone's gonna find it." And would, like, have all of my vulnerability and all
This is
my
what I'm sitting here
secrets.
thinking as you're talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like I said, like, "What if I died or something?" And then, like, people have these books, and he goes, "Why do you care you're dead?" Just like, "That's a really good point, but I don't know why I worry about that." He goes, "Well, you just put things in code that you don't want other people to know." He's giving me all these solutions, of what I could do, but anyway, I thought that was kinda cute, but that's what he's planning to do, and I was like, "You know what? I think I might do that too. I like that
Yeah.
because it's just such a great way of being able to just download and you can go back 6 months and go, "Damn, I've been feeling this way for a long time," or
Just tell me where the journals are, Julie, and if you do die, I will, like, be the first to grab them, and nobody
yeah,
else will see them.
okay, deal. Or maybe I'm gonna get a safe and I'll put them in a safe. I'm not kidding, because I
Yeah.
mean, I might scare people with some of my thoughts. Not really. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
that bad, but
Yeah.
some of them, some of them are inside thoughts.
Inside thoughts,
Inside
inside
thoughts.
thoughts. We don't need those to sneak
We
out.
don't need those to sneak out, exactly. So,
Yeah. No,
anyway,
I get it.
journaling is a great idea though, I think.
Yeah. But I like your point, the things that energize you and make you feel good. And those are all things too that sometimes I think I don't want to use the word stigma, but I mean there's so many things as women. I know for me,
Mhm,
I'll say for me that do make me feel good and they're all the typical women things that you think about, compassion,
mhm,
right? Compassion for others, leadership. We have those leadership roles, whether it's in the home, in the workplace, out in the
right.
world, those kinds of things. Creativity, being dependable, all of those kinds of things. Those are very fulfilling for me. I think for a lot of people they are. And those are things that maybe as you're moving through trying to figure some of the things out that are changing in life, those would be some of the things that I would lean into.
Okay, that makes sense.
Especially if you're struggling with maybe some of the other things that aren't serving you, that you're
Mhm.
trying to figure out how to make some subtle changes with, right? Lean into the things that are reliable within you that bring you joy, and lean into those in the meantime while you're working on some of the areas that you're struggling with, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
it does. It makes 100% sense, and the other point I wanted to make too is on the flip side, we've got things that drain the hell out of us. It's
You
like, "What the fuck? Why am I talking to this person again?" I just walk away and wanna bang my head against the wall kind of
Yeah.
stuff, you know? And
Yeah.
so or a task or something that you've committed to that just drains the hell out of you. It's like, I've noticed lately, like, conversations and things that I've had that have exhausted me, and it's not that I was telling Michelle earlier, it's like, I have a tendency to wanna run away from things sometimes, or, like, I run away and I'm kinda like, "I don't wanna deal with that," whatever. I'm trying really hard not to do that and trying to process things differently, and I just think sometimes there are things that are sucking the life out of you that you are okay with letting
Oh
go,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
but you'd feel obligated
Sure. That
because you're responsible.
yeah, being a fixer, for example, the good girl all
Mhm.
the time,
Yeah.
right? The martyr.
A martyr.
I mean, that's very, very typical. Being the peacemaker, to your point, like you were talking about earlier, at all costs. So if that's, then being silent and, not getting to the resolve that you need to get to, that's where the at all costs part is the draining part,
Right.
right?
But if it means that's what you need to do for yourself, you gotta do it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I think there's also fear to some degree about letting go of the things that we're saying don't serve you when we're talking about some of these identities.
Yeah.
And truly, it's like with me, because I am a person who I concern myself with how other people feel for the most part. I mean, not all the time, I guess, but it's like I would be worried about how, not worried, but reflect on how my change is maybe going to affect another person. Now, one might say that's not my problem. It's their problem. And I think that's a very black and white way of looking at it. I don't necessarily agree, with that approach, but at the same time, it's like I can't necessarily deviate from what I'm doing because it will impact somebody else because maybe they need to do something differently too. But I just think it needs to be a part of the whole thought process because it's not like it stops when you make a change, whether it's subtle or whether it's really clear and, approach to the world kind of a thing. But your change will affect other people. Um, and that's okay. Just understand that it's very possible.
Yeah, well, and it might bring forth some communication that wouldn't have been brought forth otherwise,
Exactly. Yeah.
which puts things out on the table in a good way, whether it's a romantic relationship, familiar relationships,
Right.
all of those things. It's going to matter, and just because things don't fit anymore, it's not like you're retiring these things forever. You're still going to be a peacemaker sometimes, even
Sure.
though sometimes it's draining. It's the recognizing within that identity what is not serving you and when it brings you joy. So, if we changed all the identities, we wouldn't be who we are anymore. Right? So
Yeah.
it's more about shifting and redefining maybe
Yeah.
what some of these identities are in life and how they make us feel and what it looks like to shift and maybe change. You know how we are as women, we're always fucking like shifting and changing and going with the flow so that everything else is okay.
Rocking and rolling, moving and grooving.
Moving and grooving. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about this audit and like the exercises some people
okay.
can have. So, let's think about listeners, folks that are out there, identities you're carrying. Let's just have you think about what identities
Hmm.
are you carrying and then what fits, what doesn't fit. This is pretty simple stuff, right?
Yeah.
What you're not sure fits or doesn't fit. And then what are you willing to loosen or kind of let go of a little bit this month just to see how
I
it goes
like
for you.
loosen. I like
Yeah.
that word loosen.
It's not, cut out. It's,
Hmm.
I'm just gonna look at this a little bit differently, maybe put so much energy into it, that
Well,
kind of a
just
thing.
ask yourself some questions. Feel when are some of the times you feel most yourself?
Yeah.
Really think about that. That's the audit, man, right there.
Mhm.
What are the things that I'm doing when I feel most likely myself? When is that?
And then
Um,
what's gonna happen,
yeah.
I feel drained when I do X.
Hmm.
So those are the things you'd wanna look at. Or if I stopped doing this or I stopped approaching this, whatever it is, how am I gonna view myself and how am I gonna feel about it? I
Yeah.
think those are the kind of three key points that we want
Yeah.
to get across and convey.
Love it.
Yeah. So it's not like you have a deadline that says, "Oh, by the 15th of the month, you need to do X, X, and X." That's not what we're saying at all.
Yeah.
This is more kind of like an evolution. It's more about having awareness, bringing awareness to yourself, and determining what brings joy to you, like you said before.
Maybe you turn in a side eye all the time and just keep doing those habitual things, the same, the same, the
Mhm.
same. The awareness is what will bring the attention, and that's where you might see some things shifting, the subtle
Yeah.
changes, loosening the
Mhm.
reins on some things, and might feel pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. So,
you won't
uh,
know until you try it.
kind of, in closing, just some thoughts. Again, we talked about not Really, we don't need to announce anything to anybody. We're not putting this out on public display. You're not putting a neon sign on your head, okay? Look through the things that are what we've discussed and perhaps see if there's adjustments that you want to make. You don't owe anybody explanations for things. That's 100%. They're not even gonna know necessarily what's going on with you. And becoming, how you're becoming and evolving, it happens quietly. It's not something that is necessarily, projected to the world, so understand you don't have to worry about that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Um,
like it.
yeah, me too.
And if you haven't taken the opportunity to go check out Spicy Midlife Women on any of the socials, you might want to try that out because we're spicy over there too. And
Mhm.
we do have a lot of fun. So if you haven't, go do it. Check us out we're on Facebook, we are on Instagram and TikTok. A lot of fun over there at that one. And also, you can watch our podcast over on YouTube. You can find us there. So check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe. And, it's just a different way of listening and, see our faces while we're doing it.
We're loving our listeners, we're having the most fun with them, but I think what's really important just in closing then again, if this episode stirs something in you, then that's information, and that information can spark that change. So, before we sign off, I'm just gonna say Maria Kondo that shit off, you know? Just go do it.
If it doesn't serve you, let it
Let it
go.
go. Say thank you and let it
Let
go.
it go. I like it.
On that note,
All right, everybody.
yeah, peace out. We'll see you soon.
Stay spicy.
Stay spicy. Bye.